people, welcome back to Food Glam Life. I hope you're doing very well today. My name is Sanaa. Today we're doing the second episode of my series, This is Life. And I have a very special guest with me, a very good friend and an award-winning guidance counselor in Pakistan. Her name is Ms. Ayesha Khan, and she's here to answer questions that you have asked. I put out a post on Instagram and you asked me questions related to applying for higher education, and she is the master of it all, and she will help us out. We're going to ask her your questions and just have a little bit of a discussion. So Ayesha, can you sort of give us an introduction about yourself?
Okay, well, I'm basically an assorted bag of mix. I've done my graduation in psychology, and then I did a fashion design degree, then I did an MBA, then I did a food and nutrition course. So that's what basically makes me the right person to help people who want to define what their careers are.
And I will vouch for that because knowing Ayesha on a personal level, she is seriously like jack of all trades. You can ask her a question about anything and she'll have information on it. So not only is she an excellent guide for students and youngsters, she has an excellent aesthetic sense and a whole bag of tricks under her sleeves. Alright, so the very first question that we have is, what should I consider when choosing universities?
Well, this is a very broad question. And Sana, it really depends from person to person, because I would choose a university to what I want to study, my discipline. Whatever the course I want to do, where is it being offered to begin with? The second thing that a lot of students are looking for is a scholarship. Would I want to study on a scholarship? Is that a priority? Then the country. There are so many factors that actually help you make final choice of what your university is. And that's where the guidance counselor comes into play, because they kind of help you get to know and find the right fit for you. The only part where it gets tricky is for one person to have like 8,000 universities at their disposal and which one to pick up from. So there are numerous factors that come into play, but overall I think the things that you do want to look into is the area, because this is 4 years of your life you're going to be spent. If you're not settled in that environment, those 4 years can be the most torturous years of your life, and you don't want to have that kind of pressure with your academics. A lot of people say, oh, hame to bas bahar jana hai, kahin bhi ho jaye. I really think you really need to figure out kidhar jana. And once you've narrowed down what country, what kind of weather, what kind of people, are you a big university person, are you a small college campus person? These are all factors that we don't take under discussion. We just simply talk about the big names and we talk about scholarships.
This is really true because, I mean, it's been a really long time, but when I was first applying, I remember we didn't have a very good guidance counselor. Most of the people, we were all like private liberal arts college. For some, I don't know why, some of them were giving good scholarships. I did get a good scholarship, but I ended up in this really, like my first year, I transferred out, but I was in a very tiny town in the middle of central Pennsylvania, not good access to transport, nothing. There was like the biggest thing around was a Kmart. Like It was so suffocating. It wasn't diverse enough for me.
Exactly. And what we don't realize is we're away from home.
Yeah.
So already, no matter
how cold,
how much,
I hate the cold. I realized like
exactly.
after, like when you first see the snow, it's really nice, but after it starts melting and getting dirty and muddy, it's depressing because you're like, अच्छा मार्च आ गया, where's the sun, right?
Exactly.
Like हमारे यही होता है कि US चले जाओ कि UK चले जाओ, उसके अलावा कहीं हम आगे पीछे देखते ही नहीं हैं. I mean, for my masters, I went to Europe, but that was just such an out of the box thinking, even for myself.
True.
You don't even explore.
We don't even explore. And you know, the funniest thing is we have places like Malaysia and Turkey, which are coming up so fast in the education field. And not only are they good education institutions there, they're actually very good when it comes to Pakistani students and acceptance of our Pakistani students. You know, being away from home, if your parents want to come visit and you're not well, getting an American visa is a huge issue.
UK is so expensive.
And UK is very expensive.
And also they're Muslim countries, so like from like the culture shock, I think is like not as bad.
Not as bad. So there are a lot of countries which are upcoming. Make sure you apply everywhere.
How many universities do you usually recommend students apply to?
Okay, I have a lot of students who do the Common App process, which is extremely tedious, and they come up with only 4 universities saying, oh, these are the only ones I want to apply to. But I kind of coax them into applying more, because for me it's jitna gur daloge utna meetha
Common App to kafi.
Exactly. So 20 is the max. So I do want them at the end of the day to get the most out of that application. And then we have the UCAS, which strictly takes care of the UK side of the education. So there's a limitation of 5 universities, so I make sure all 5 are maxed there too.
Alright, so at Maham H2002 asks, is it okay to follow the subject you're most passionate about despite it being a very unstable degree for the future? And I'm assuming this is something that's probably arts related, because that's just something I think people think is very unstable. Exactly.
Firstly, hi Maham. Thank you so much for writing in. I really believe in one thing. At the end of the day, if you're not happy with what you're doing, it really becomes very hard for you to continue. I have a lot of students that walk into my office and they say, okay, so I want to study actuarial sciences. Will I get a job? To be very honest, apart from Allah, I don't think we can answer those questions for you. But I do feel that you need to pursue what you want to do. And they are very, very interesting opportunities once you get into the field that you realize you can kind of cultivate for your own self. So please go right ahead. No one has any idea. I did not think I would be a guidance counselor one day.
With the way the world is now, until a few years ago, did anyone think that blogging or YouTubing would actually be making you money? You don't know what it is, and you can make a career out of anything, basically. And her second question is it possible to study arts and social sciences despite having no artistic background?
Okay, well, Mahan, when you talk about liberal arts and humanities subjects, there are two types. There's one which is literally with artistic background, as in I did my fashion design, and for that you need to know how to draw. So obviously there are those architecture. You cannot do architecture without math, physics, and art and design. So literally you need to have artistic backgrounds for those. But when you come to literature, languages, come to sociology, psychology, all beautiful subjects, you don't literally need to have any artistic background, nor do you need to have studied them beforehand. That's the beauty of the liberal arts subjects. For a person to be a whole person, you need to have studied art subjects at some point in your life. Humanities, because it kind of really shapes you in who you are.
That's what I really like about the US-based or Canadian-based education system, is that your first 2 years, they focus on foundation courses like everything, math, science, social sciences, humanities, a little bit of everything.
Exactly. And a lot of times, 80% of the times, you go in with a particular mindset of doing a particular degree, and it's in that foundation course that you realize, hey, I don't want to study law suddenly. I want to study psychology because that one little course just changed the way you looked at that subject altogether.
And I think maybe we can also touch upon, just if you specifically mean art schools in Pakistan, for that you definitely need...
You need to have an art background, yes.
Maybe at least take some classes or something.
Yes, a lot of people are naturally very good with art, but a lot of people, when they want to join NCA or Indus, they actually do take a 2-month crash course, because the good thing about the Pakistani admissions is their cycle is after the summer, because you don't want to be sitting in an exam, which is your entrance exam, and everyone knows what they're doing, and you're kind of looking at your pencil and saying, okay, area synthesis, how is that done?
At Ayesha Khan asks, is it better to continue the same electives or have a varied selection of courses?
Hi, Mariam. I really, again, feel this is a very personal choice. If you ask me, from where you are 15 years down the lane, I would definitely opt for variation, because that is what would bring diversity. That only comes with when you know a little bit of everything. And that is what I think a millennial is all about. Like Sanaa said initially, that she's such a dynamic person and she's done this and that. And I'm very proud of that I've learned so much. It wasn't doing all that I had done, I really wouldn't be who I am today.
I really agree with that. Like, even if you want to be an engineer, how boring would it be if that's all you think about day and night, and that's where your brain stays focused, right?
Yeah.
As a personality, as you go out into the world, you want to be able to have conversations on a variety of topics, whether it's history, and a lot of this is not just through classes. You can learn on your own as well. There's so many resources out there and online courses.
Exactly. And Mariam, one thing I'd like to say, it would be great to have an engineer who's an amazing salsa dancer.
If we link it back to the college application, and this is also another question, like, what are the essential parts of a college application or part of your profile that you need to present? You could be, an excellent student in all your science subjects, but a university will turn you down.
Exactly. Because I think the core thing that a university, and this is not just a university, we're talking abroad, diversity, diversity, diversity. That's all they want. They're looking for the grades, yes, but what extra can you add to the platter?
They want leadership skills.
Exactly. So what do you do after that? It is so important. That's why the college applications, they have like a very interesting way of giving weightage to things. And it's like 50% is the academics and the application, 25% is the extracurriculars, and 25% is your SAT score, to show that you don't just belong in a classroom and your classroom results are not going to shape who you are or define who you are. The 25%, we in Pakistan don't even think about it. A lot of parents actually come to me and say, Model United Nations debating thing, how can that help our child?
Or like drama or theater.
Or drama, or she's wasting time with community service. How will that help? Believe me, those are the things that will actually shape your application.
And that as a person as well.
Exactly, and that is where your college application's essay is going to come out from. That is where a recommendation is going to come out. I mean, LUMS, Agha Khan University, the first thing they say, brilliant result. Please tell us what you've done apart from the classroom.
You could have a student who was, a mediocre student during ninth grade,
Yeah.
but then showed progress. They would probably weigh that student the same.
The
as they
same,
would
or at times even more.
more.
And I had a student who was a double BC in his A levels, and he got into Berkeley. Now that's not a joke. With a double BC, I was even apprehensive if they would see his application. But he was so strong in the extracurricular, and we shaped his application.
So this actually leads me to a very interesting question because, there's one of you, you're located in Islamabad in a very specific school or in a very specific location. A lot of the people who are watching this don't have access to you or a good guidance counselor necessarily, or maybe even a guidance counselor at all. What resources can you suggest to them to reach out to that would help them in developing their own college application or portfolio?
Actually, the good thing about today's time is you have Google. If you have a passion, if you want to be somewhere, trust me, it's not just a guidance counselor who can get you there. Yes, we are there to be of service. We can help you. We can guide you. I have people sitting in Faisalabad who got into MIT. They didn't even know what a guidance counselor is. But it really depends on how serious you are. The part that you would need guidance with is the college essay or the personal statement or the recommendation letter, because that is something that you can't do on your own. If you're lost, please reach out. Counselors do private work as well. So I think you just need to reach out. LinkedIn has amazing counselors. You just really need to have some confidence in yourself and the passion to do it. That's about it.
And Google is your friend.
Yes.
In everything. Okay, so very important question that a lot of people have, and I actually have the same sort of question from two people. At Masuma Ali 97 and also at The Real Hadil. Okay, Masuma asked, how do you get merit-based postgraduate scholarships in foreign countries? So this is postgraduate. And the other one, The Real Hadil, asked, is it possible to find 100% academic merit scholarship for a foundation year in any country abroad?
So basically, foundation courses are basically in the UK only. Foundation courses are when, for example, you're not done with your A levels and you want to transfer abroad. Those people who are not done with their A levels cannot directly go into an undergrad program. They go for a foundation year. They kind of make up for the year that they've not completed. So there are no scholarships for that. It's something that you've missed and you're trying to just do it up in a different environment, in a different culture, and a different university. That's about it.
And also, I think if we made this more generic as well as 100% academic scholarship for like universities in general.
The first thing that you guys really need to understand is you are an international student. So whenever you search something, whenever you hear somebody say something, make sure you know whether it's for a local student they're talking about or is it for an international student. Because generally for locals and people who have a citizenship or a passport holder,
or even a residency in terms of state residency,
it's a completely different picture for them. We sitting in Pakistan and applying from Pakistan, we're going to be an international student. So there are very limited funds, but there are universities that cover 100%, not only 100%, even 200%. I have a student last year who went to Minerva, a very interesting school, a very avant-garde for its time. She got a 200% and a laptop.
Wow.
The best thing is about that, every year you get to choose your own campus anywhere in the world.
What? Wow.
Yeah, so every year you have a new destination, a new college campus, and a new work experience for the summer line.
Like if you have excellent academic career, you will qualify perhaps for the merit-based scholarship. But if you're just like an MA student, आपको ज़रूरी नहीं है कि वो scholarship.
Exactly, because you see, you have to understand what does a scholarship mean. A scholarship means that you have to be too good for a place. That's why they're going to lure you in. Otherwise, why would they invest in you? And a lot of students get stuck in this. We've got brilliant grades, so we want to get a scholarship in MIT or Harvard. You may be brilliant, but are you brilliant on that level to get 100% scholarship from there?
And the competition.
Exactly. And then there are some amazing universities out there which would be maybe not ranked higher, but they would want to have you. And that's where your scholarship lies. So ranks are something that we get really stuck in. But if you actually look at what the QS ranking is all about, you rank a university even on their pool, even on their library, even what their cafe food is like. And for a Pakistani student, that is the last things we rank on. We rank on faculty. We rank on academics. Whether the pool is Olympic sized or not, I don't think that is on top of our list, unless you're a swimmer.
Athletic, yeah, swimmer.
Again, so that's with your fit. Scholarships, 100% are available. Trust me. They are very
sports
easily.
Scholarships, like if you're a really good tennis player and things like that.
Exactly.
So
there's a lot of my golf students have gotten 100% scholarship. These are things we don't even realize. There's a student who got in because of his archery. He comes from an army background, and archery was something that he did with his dad, and he actually got a scholarship because of that. Yes, you do need help from a counselor there, because we kind of know where those little pots of gold lie.
what should I spend most of my time and focus on, obviously, during the process?
For an international student, the first thing that you really need to focus on is your SAT scores, because that is what is going to set you apart from every candidate. They know your grades, they have your transcript, they want to see what extra you're going to bring to that university, and that is in the form of an SAT score. A lot of engineering and medical colleges, they kind of want the SAT 1 and 2, but generally just the SAT 1 is required for an international student.
And that's basically US,
Canada
UK.
and UK don't even have scholarships on undergrad level. A lot of people say, oh, flana banda to tha, wo to England mein scholarship pe tha. They're either on a master's level or they're on a PhD level, then you do have grads.
And all these, I think, even HEC, even Chevening, Fulbright, like the big name scholarships, they're mostly targeted towards masters and PhD
Exactly.
students, right? Aajkal ke zamane mein, though, it seems like getting a master's degree is almost like necessary because of there's a competition to getting to universities, but wait till you get to the competition of finding a job, and that too a well-paying job, right?
Exactly.
Having a master's is automatically puts you in, one up on other candidates.
And it's now not like something that you've achieved, it's a necessity.
Yeah.
And I do
It's like they're in the requirements of,
exactly.
of any
it's
job
one of the
description.
boxes that you need to check.
You could do your 4-year degree in Pakistan and focus on getting a better master's degree at like a better university abroad somewhere.
Exactly.
And keep the pressure off on your undergraduate.
Yeah, I do recommend that to a lot of students because at times it's not easy to do an undergrad, especially if you're not getting a scholarship up to your mark. It becomes financially a lot to cough up for an undergrad and 4 years. I do advise a lot of students to do their undergrad here and then focus on their masters. If you're really serious about really proving yourself and being somebody, the journey doesn't end. Because an undergrad, you're still very young. You could have circumstances in which your parents don't want you to leave and go abroad.
You're not mature enough.
Or you're not mature enough, or you think you can't handle the separation from your family and home, which is very natural.
And it's hard.
And
Trust me, like that first year, when you're 18 and you're like, you suddenly left, and a lot of times, our families, our parents don't have, they don't have a visa or whatever, they're not able to accompany you, to drop you off and set you up. So you're pretty much on your own. So unless you've had that sort of an upbringing where you were made very independent, sort of took care of yourself, that first year is the toughest, and you feel the most homesick.
Exactly.
You miss your mother, you have to do your own laundry for the first time, a lot of cases.
Exactly. So, and the funniest thing is, Sana's had the experience of going abroad, and I went to Lahore for my fashion school, and I was in my 20s. I wasn't even like a teenager. Believe me, I'm not like a fan of roti. The first 1 week, my bags were packed because all I was missing was my roti of my kitchen. And I would call and cry with my mom, कि मुझे रोटी खानी है, रोटी खानी है. My mother was like, कौन सी रोटी? वही रोटी तुमने कभी जिंदगी में नहीं खाई. And I'm like, हाँ, मुझे वही रोटी चाहिए हमारी kitchen के. So, it's weird. Exactly. And it was like, and when I would be making myself these instant 2-minute Maggi noodles, I would literally engulf myself into this self-pity depression.
Yeah.
कि ओ मेरी जिंदगी देखें जरा मैं Maggi खा रही हूँ. Like, it was like, so that happens, and that's what I tell my students, because I've so many experiences to share and tell them कि oh यूं भी होगा और ये भी होगा, and you really need to be ready for that. And so if you're not ready, postpone. There is no reason that you need to do an undergrad from abroad. We have some amazing universities. Yes, there are a handful. That is the only upsetting part, but they're not bad. Don't feel as if शायद अगर आप पाकिस्तान में रह गए तो आपके साथ बड़ी ज्यादती हुई है. No. If you are made for that, trust me, master's or PhD programs में जितने ज़्यादा scholarships निकलती हैं, उतनी undergrad में भी 4 years
and mentally you might be more ready and prepared for it. And also masters is what, maximum 1 to 2 years, so it's not as
it's
long.
shorter.
Yeah,
exactly. It's more good on the budget as well.
Yeah. So in part of applying for colleges and stuff, there's obviously the basic part of the application. Does every application, no matter where it's from, does it require an essay in it?
Yes, it actually does. Maybe it's not in the form of a college essay, but they do need kind of an insight of who you are and what your voice is. And that is the most important and integral part of your whole application.
Tell us about a significant event that happened in your life that changed who you are. They want you to kind of step away from the academics.
Exactly. And pour your heart out.
Yeah.
Because you see, they don't have you in front of them.
What kind of person you are.
Exactly. That application is the only way you can introduce yourself. How do I go about a college essay? There's no particular points that I can say, oh, keep this in mind, keep that in mind. The only thing I can tell you is when you're done with your AS and you have your summer vacations, or you're done with the first year of your FSC or FA, jot down everything that comes into your mind. Little topics of who you are, what you like, how your day was. And it's very easy for us as counselors to sift through that and say, okay, why don't you write about that? College essays have to come in from within. A lot of people say, oh, do we have to make it emotional? Do we have to make it a soppy story? No, it can be very funny as well. It can be very serious as well. It can be very opinionative as well. But it should be who you are.
It needs to be like an anecdote. Like, ye meri zindagi mein ek ye part aaya tha, ek ye cheez hui thi, I met this person or this thing happened. And that's why a lot of your extracurriculars, or even like it could be about your friends, like someone that you met that completely changed your life, or a teacher, or an activity you did. It could be something small, it could be something massive, like, losing someone in your family or friends or things like that.
It can be anything small, it can be anything big, but it should be a slice of who you are.
And I would also say, like, it kind of needs to show how you went from here to here. Like, it needs to show, like, sort of a graph. And that's why I'm saying, like, how it changed you. It needs to sort of show that पहले मैं ऐसी थी, ऐसे था, और इस चीज के होने के बाद मैं अब ऐसा हो गया हूँ या हो गई हूँ और मैं इस तरह से सोचती हूँ.
And for the college essay, they have prompts. So you're supposed to pick one certain prompt that speaks most to you, or that you can think you can write well in. A lot of students think first draft में ही सारा काम हो जाएगा. No, actually, it can even take your essay to go to the 13th draft for it to look good. And a lot of people in Pakistan feel कि हमने अपना essays पढ़ाना नहीं है किसी को. I think that's the biggest mistake you can do.
Especially reach out to people who write well, either a teacher or like
and even if they
sibling.
don't write well, you just don't know who would give you what advice on your essay, and that could change the whole shape of your essay.
Achha, so one last one. This is not really related to universities, but at AA Blogo asked, what do you suggest? Should I go for a job or first do an internship? I mean, if I were to answer that, I would definitely say go for an internship, like if you can find a job, but if you get an internship, why not?
Yeah, I think that's the safest route. The whole concept of an internship is for you to get a feel of the field. I would love to be a banker, but what if spending a whole week at a bank makes me realize this is not what I want to do?
It's a commitment. Like, doing a job is a commitment. So a good thing with an internship is do it for a month.
And you get a feel.
Yeah, and if you like it, you can continue. If they have space for you because you're free labor, they might. And if not, and sometimes they even give you a little bit of a stipend. If not, you don't have that commitment, you can get up and leave and decide, like, oh, this was not meant for me. I can't do it.
Exactly. And another thing I think what the internship does is it kind of helps you build your networking. Once you're in there, a lot of people will start looking at you for who you are. When you're being paid, there's a very different kind of role they're looking at you in, and you need to constantly prove yourself. In an internship, you don't really have to prove yourself. You're there to learn.
Yeah, but if you do prove yourself,
even better.
It could lead to a job in itself. And also, in terms of an internship, what I would recommend is make sure they're giving you real work and not just making you, photocopy karke le aao. Or if it's something you want to learn, sometimes it's about taking the initiative and asking. Okay, a lot of, I feel, and especially in Pakistan, because हमारी confidence building पे कोई काम नहीं किया जाता, especially even in university level. You have to go and even reaching out, getting an internship. If there's someone you want to know, like I started in advertising, I knew there was an alumni from my college and he was like creative director of like Young and Rubik, and I reached out. You reach out to people, they will not mind if you send them an email. Ask for opportunities, ask to meet up with them. Tell them if you're really passionate about something, tell them you want to meet with them, tell them you want to learn. And people really enjoy that, when you're at our when you're working, like, and you see someone who's like young, fresh blood, who's looking up to you and wants your guidance and mentorship and
has fresh ideas.
Yeah, and wants to work and has a passion. Nothing better. People will take you under their wing, but you really have to work at it and prove yourself. Like,
and also you need
don't
to
be like dhila dhala about it.
And you need to get into the circle, and that's why the internship is good, because it's not like you're being paid. Job ढूंढनी मुश्किल है, लेकिन free काम ढूंढना आसान है.
Exactly.
So get into that circle, make your connections, show who you are, show off your skills, and trust me, that internship 80% of the time actually becomes a job.
It's true. So I feel like especially with Pakistanis, there's so many people, like, they're fresh grads, कोई experience नहीं होगा, but they have this like ego about हमने internship नहीं करनी, हमने तो job करनी है. And unless you're like this, a sole bread earner for your family and वो उस तरह से आपके लिए ज़रूरी है, you should not have that kind of an ego, right? Like, you just started out.
And also, coming down to the monetary value of the whole thing, when there's a fresh person, the organization or the person who's hiring you knows कि आपका कोई background नहीं है, so they will be, उनको training करनी पड़ेगी, तो वो आपको बल्कि जो आप deserve करते हैं उससे भी कम दें, because they know they need to work on you. But you come up with an internship, even if it's for a month, and you say, oh, I know the language you guys speak. So when you speak that language, your interview goes better. There is more probability you can get a better offer. So internship, I feel, makes you a little more aware.
All right. We should wrap this up now. Thank you so much,
Ayesha.
This was
so much fun.
I hope you enjoyed it. You guys, I feel like there's so much more to talk about because this is such a vast subject. If you found this interesting and you want to learn more, and you're like, "Pehle maine sawal nahi pucha tha, but now I have more questions," let me know if you'd like to do a part 2 of this, and I think Ayesha will be gracious enough to join us and do that again. So other than that, if you have any questions for Ayesha watches my channel regularly. So if you have any questions, mention them in the comments down below. I'll send them over to her, and maybe she can get you answers.
Yeah, definitely. And this was so good.
Anyway, that was the end of the video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. What else do they need to do?
So subscribe to the channel, please, immediately, if you haven't as yet.
Yes. I will see you next time. Take care. Goodbye.